Let me start with a question. Is fear controlling your mind when it comes to fundraising? If your first instinct was to say, no, I have deep faith, I want you to stay with me because this conversation isn't about how much you believe. It's about how fear actually works. Fear is not removed by motivation. It's removed by structure, permission, and repetition. And that distinction changes everything. Did you know that fear and faith can exist in the same space? Fear is a human response to uncertainty, threat, or loss of control. Faith is a chosen posture of trust that looks beyond what is immediately seen. They can live in the same moment, the same heart, even the same breath, but they compete for authority. Fear says, what if this falls apart? Faith says, even if it does, I am not abandoned. The Bible never presents faith as the absence of fear. It presents faith as obedience in the presence of fear. David felt fear before Goliath and stepped forward anyway. Esther was afraid and still said, if I perish, I perish. The disciples were terrified in the storm, and Jesus didn't say, why do you have no faith? He asked, why are you afraid? Fear was present. Faith was invited to lead. Here's the reframe I want you to write down. Fear is a signal. Faith is a decision. Fear may knock on the door. Faith decides whether it gets a chair at the table.
Now let's talk about fundraising specifically, because this is where fear gets sneaky. Fear stays at the table when fundraising feels personal, undefined, all or nothing, tied to rejection. If you've ever thought, if they say no, what does that say about me? That's fear trying to sit in the head chair. But fear leaves when fundraising becomes procedural, permission-based, lane-specific, normalized. Fundraising fear is not about money. It's about exposure. And exposure disappears when responsibility is shared and clarity is introduced. I'm going to walk you through 4 simple steps. These are not motivational, they are structural. And structure is what removes fear. Step 1, remove personal risk by making it procedural. Here's the mindset shift. Our job is not to convince people. Our job is to inform them of options. When you believe it's your job to convince, you carry rejection personally. When you believe it's your job to inform, success is measured by clarity, not outcome. This is the rule I want you to say out loud. No one asks for money directly unless it's their role. Everyone is allowed to point, not persuade. Say it again. Pointing removes emotional exposure. If you're a writer, a creative, a visionary, did you just feel your shoulders drop? Good. That's fear losing its seat. Step 2, remove guessing by providing exact language. Fear doesn't come from lack of courage. It comes from uncertainty. People freeze because they're silently asking, what if I say it wrong? What if I cross the line? What if I offend someone? The solution is simple. Give approved language and bless it publicly. Tell your team, if you use this language, you are fully covered. Once language is sanctioned, fear drops fast. Clarity is kindness. Step 3, remove isolation by assigning lanes to your team. They are there to help you make money, not just make a movie. When we as leaders say, we all need to fundraise, fearful people hear, I don't know where I fit. So we fix that by assigning clear lanes with permission and boundaries. One person invites people to become members. One invites people to donate. One invites people to vote. One invites executive producers or partners. That's it. Not everyone does everything. Everyone knows their lane. Isolation feeds fear. Belonging starves it. Step 4, redefine success. Here's where fear really loses authority. Success is no longer, did they say yes? Success becomes, was the invitation clear? Were the options simple? Was dignity preserved? Money is not the win. Clarity is the win. When clarity exists, money becomes an outcome, not a stressor. Now is the time to normalize repetition. Fear survives when fundraising feels rare and dramatic. But listen to this. If you talk about funding once a quarter, it feels awkward. If you talk about it every week, it becomes normal. Consistency drains fear of its power. As the leader of this story, here is the culture you set. No one will be shamed for inviting. No one will be praised for staying silent. Participation is the expectation. Pressure is not. Now, take a breath with me. Inhale for 4 counts, hold for 7, and exhale for 8. Fear no longer sits at your table. It may knock, it may watch from the window, but faith holds the authority. If this reframes something for you, if you felt relief, clarity, or peace, I invite you to take the next step. That is to build your structure because you've already taken the courage to lay the foundation. If you want me to help you, subscribe to our channel so that when new videos are released, you're the first to know so you can act on it and we can become the good in Hollywood together.